Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Sermon. I'm Sally Campbell-Evans, the pastor for Congregational Care.
And I'm Magrey Devega, the senior pastor, and I think this is the first Beyond the Sermon that you and I get to do together.
It is indeed.
What a historic moment.
Very much so.
Matt is on a well-deserved vacation, and so we've got the two of us hosting Beyond the Sermon together, and we're so grateful that you've joined us today.
So give us a little grace today.
That's right.
Because Matt is a pro at this.
That's right.
But to kick us off, Magrey, our sermon today is called The Trickster Gets Tricked.
Right.
And it's about Jacob and his relationship with Leah and Rachel and Laban. And so if I'm just reading this story, just cold, here's a man who gets a job with his uncle. His uncle tricks him. He falls in love with one sister, ends up marrying the other sister, not by choice. Cousins marrying cousins, in effect, they're cousins. Then there are a few other women added in. There are lots of children involved over time. It's kind of like a story that doesn't really connect to my life every day.
So take the Bible, fuse in a little bit of daytime soap opera, and sprinkle in a heavy dose of Jerry Springer, and you have basically every story about a family in the book of Genesis. It is strange. And that, for some people, is an obstacle. You know, one of the values we have here at Hyde Park is that we encourage people to read the Bible without fear and without frustration. And sometimes when you read a story like this, with all of its weird references and plot twists, it's frustrating because you wonder, is this true? How can this be true? And that's always a wonderful challenge for preachers like you and me, to talk about the truth of this story without having to completely untangle all of the weird stuff.
That's right. So I really appreciated how you took all that history and made a really meaningful sermon. Yeah. So let's talk about some of the points of that sermon.
Yeah, sure. So the story, the way I led was to talk about karma. Which, you know, there is an instinct within each of us that wants people who take shortcuts to get what they deserve. I mean, I imagine that's a human instinct for you, as it is for me.
I'm embarrassed to admit it sometimes, but it's true.
Yeah, yes. We don't like people taking the easy way and stepping on other people. And yet, Jacob pretty much has a whole reputation for this. In fact, the sermon for next week about wrestling with an angel just typifies his tenacity and his fortitude, which I've said often is both a strength and a shadow. His tenacity and his determination is his greatest asset, but it also pushes him to push the boundaries on ethics and morals. And in the case of both his father and his brother, he was manipulative. So we kind of like it when he gets what he deserves.
That's right, which was his uncle.
Right.
Saying, you're not marrying her, even after 7 years of work, you're marrying this sister.
Yeah.
So the trickster got tricked. So, yes. So the thing that I really liked when you continued on after Jacob's acknowledging that he'd married the woman he didn't think he'd married, he made another deal with Laban. His tenacity, his determination, he really wanted to marry the one he wanted to marry, and he did. And so, but as you talked about those two sisters, the line that was really powerful, I believe you said, there's a Rachel and a Leah inside all of us. And that was really something to ponder. How did you come to that? How did you get to that idea with this rabbinic thinking?
Well, I found some rabbinic wisdom as I was doing research on this text. And, you know, what I love about these biblical stories from the Hebrew Bible is that they are so strange. And whenever there's a really strange story like this, we can always count on rabbinic teaching and midrash to not only untangle the story, but give us a different perspective on that story. And so it was just some rabbinic teaching that I found from various streams of Judaism that pointed to this notion that what if we see these two characters as the same person? Now, that's not what the story is saying in Genesis. I mean, the original story is that they're two distinct people. But in order to find the truth of it, what if we did a little thought experiment? I mean, Jewish rabbis are really good at thought experiments when it comes to interpreting Hebrew texts. And so the thought experiment is, what if the person that we love is both Leah and Rachel? And when I read that, I thought, doggone it, that is true of every person that I love. Like every family member, every close friend. Nobody is perfect Rachel 100%. There's a Leah dimension to them. there is something that frustrates me or is disappointing to me. And then I just took it one step further, just because of my work with my own inner work and my own self-reflection, self-examination. I thought, if that's true of everybody else that I love, then that's probably true of me, that there's probably a Leah and Rachel inside me in terms of the way people perceive me. So that's just a really helpful and important insight. Well, how did you find that?
Yeah, I agree. It made me think about what I say sometimes in a marriage ceremony about how marriage, that connection, it makes us so vulnerable. We show all our Rachel side and that Leah side that does pop out.
Right.
It does pop out. And anyway, it was just a super helpful thought experiment for me as you were preaching it.
And it doesn't matter how long two people have been in a relationship.
Not at all.
Like for newlyweds, for people who are just falling in love, the percentage probably skews a little more towards seeing each other as Rachels. And then there's always over time a sort of shift where that little behavior that you kind of overlooked at first becomes more Leah.
Irritating.
Absolutely. And then you just gotta figure it out. That you gotta accept A, that the other person is not perfect, B, that you're not perfect, and C, that means unconditional love means exhibiting the kind of tenacity and fortitude that Jacob displayed by just making it work. And that's a form of love too, making it work.
Absolutely. Day in and day out.
Day in and day out.
Yeah. No, that was a beautiful way to think about those sisters and ourselves in the midst of it. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then we talked a lot about Jacob at the beginning, a lot about Jacob and his love for Rachel and all this and the deception. But when you got to Leah and you talked about how she even named her children,
I know,
specific names, Reuben and Simeon and all, but when you get to Judah, the fourth son, praise. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, there came a point in the sermon where I was painting Rachel and Leah as these two polar opposite strengths and shadows. And I just realized as I was writing the sermon that I was demeaning Leah more and more and more, like the bad part of that person or the bad part in myself. And that's when I realized the true twist of this sermon is the way Leah is redeemed in the eyes of God and in the eyes of the Hebrew readers. And when I discovered what Leah's sons' names meant, that was the gateway to what I call a coda at the end. That yes, she named each of those boys to reflect the pain in her heart, except for Judah. Like something happened within Leah by the time that fourth son was born, to where she decided to claim her dignity, to name for herself her own worth in the eyes of God, that if nobody else in the world believes in her, at least God does. And so Judah means praise God. And it turns out Judah is the gateway to the entire messianic line that leads us to Jesus.
Yeah. It was a beautiful connection.
Yeah.
Praise God indeed.
Yeah. And I hope that is a helpful message for anybody who is dealing with their own sort of inner turmoil, struggling with their own sense of dignity and worth, that even in the midst of everybody else focusing on your shadows and focusing on your limitations, that you can still claim the dignity to say, I praise God, and that you can leave an impact far beyond your years. So it's been wonderful to have. One more thing.
And that you are loved.
Yeah.
That you yourself are also loved. No matter what you're feeling, God also loves you. There was that coda in there as well that you mentioned. So beautiful.
It's a wonderful story. As strange as it is, there's a lot of truth in it for us today. And it's been a real joy to have this first ever, hopefully not last, Beyond the Sermon with you, Sally. And we hope that you will check out the sermon and the worship service, as well as all of those, as part of this Holy Struggle series. And we just want you to know that if you're looking for a church home where you can feel free to ask hard questions about strange texts and read the Bible without fear or frustration, we would love to be that community for you. So just let us know who you are or any questions that you might have. And we are just so grateful to have you here. We hope to see you next week. I'm Magrey Devega, the senior pastor.
I'm Sally Campbell-Evans, pastor for Congregational Care.
And we will see you next time.